Hello, my name is Lisa and I'm doing a PhD with the SWWDTP. My journey to academia and my motivation for doing a PhD is not a conventional one. And I hope I can inspire you today to apply for that PhD that you want to do too. Back in 2020, I applied for my master's 16 years after I finished my degree. I always wanted to do a PhD, but I never felt good enough. I come from a broken home in a low-income family, and I wasn't aware for a really long time how much this affected my self-esteem. So it took for me to be 42 before I started my PhD. When I got accepted to do my master's in 2020, I was ecstatic. It was the happiest moment of my life. I had just turned 39 and I knew that I was going to embark on a new journey. On the first day that I went into that school, I had decided that I was going to do a PhD. I never imagined that it actually was going to happen. As I started to go down the rabbit hole, I started to fall in love with arts-based research. I seen a way for the first time that research could make a difference. And I thought this was a way that people from marginalised groups could actually have a voice. I was inspired, but I was also frustrated because I found that a lot of researchers would talk on behalf of people from marginalised groups, but wouldn't actually ask them what they thought. In February 2021, during COVID of all times, I wrote a powerful synopsis that made teachers stop and take note. With one commenting, "Who would ever fund that project?" Well, the SWWDTP were the ones. In November 2022, my supervisor sent me a link to the PhD that I'm doing today. It was with arts-based methods with people with refugee experiences, working with the Arnold Feeney and Art Gallery in Bristol. I was over the moon. I was nervous, I was afraid to apply, but I felt like it was my PhD. My biggest barrier was overcoming my own self-doubt in writing that proposal. I had worries and concerns, I did. I was afraid. Who was I to do a PhD? I'm not good enough to do a PhD, I thought. Why would they pick me? There's so many other people that they could pick. It was a mental battle inside my mind. I wanted it so much, but I was also so afraid. I looked up the application process and I felt overwhelmed. I felt alone and I felt, how can I do this? I took a deep breath and I decided to take it one day at a time. I emailed the director of studies and I asked him if he would be willing to look over my proposal before I submitted it. He was welcoming and kind and agreed to look at my proposal more than once before the final submission. This made me feel like he was helpful, made me feel like he's seen something in me, and it made me want to work with him. This is where the support from the SWWDTP began. He seemed like somebody that I would like to work with, and he seemed like somebody who was aligned with my values. I was getting excited. I submitted my proposal, and after 45 minutes, they offered me the PhD, and my life has never been the same since. In terms of support with the SWDTP, I have felt that I have found an incredible bunch of people. I've made friends, I've been to many events. They organise events regularly. They offer placements in your field of study, and they also give many opportunities for training and for learning and developing. I have found that anytime I've needed support, I can email a member of staff in the SWWDTP and they will get back to me promptly and they will try to help me out. I have never felt alone with my funders, and I've always felt like I've had support. During one of their events, I was able to meet a couple of other researchers who I became friends with. We met on those first introductory days, which they fully paid for. We made friends, we've met for coffee regularly since that, and we even stay in touch via WhatsApp. I was even concerned about my age because I began my PhD at 42, which is one of the barriers towards the PhD, which is age and background and going at it at a later time in your life as a mature student. I found at these introductory events, I met another researcher who's just turned 60 this year after her first year of the PhD. So it goes to show you that you can start a PhD at any age. Some of the challenges that I find doing a PhD are that you're left alone to do your own thing on a daily basis. If you choose to work at home, like I do, because that works best for me. I find that it's also very mental because it's you against yourself most of the time, and you have to stay motivated and self-disciplined, and that can be quite tricky. Also, starting a PhD at a later age, and if you move country as well, you have to develop a new social network, and it gets a bit harder to make friends as you get older. I have joined local gyms and become part of different societies, and that's helped me with that. I ended up finding a great place to live with somebody who's also around my age and who's also somebody who's very creative. Some of the benefits of doing a PhD are that you have a lot of freedom to your days. You get to basically decide your own routine, which is that level of freedom is very liberating. So there are benefits to doing it as well. Also, you get paid to learn. And if you're like me and you love to learn, a PhD is the best way to spend your days. It's never too late to do a PhD. I've done a lot of unfulfilling jobs in my life. And this is the first time that I've ever done something that's made me feel fulfilled. It's given me a happiness that I have never known. I feel like it's given me a new way of life, a new lease of life, in one where I can thrive. Finally, I will also say that a PhD is not as hard as you think it is. It is challenging, yes, but it's also very rewarding. And if you love to learn, I think it's probably the right choice for you. I would also say that you're probably more capable of it than you think you are. I know that I didn't think that I was capable, and I surprised myself. One of the things that I've also come to realize that a PhD is as much about thinking as it is about writing. So to be an innovative thinker is something that academics are looking for in you. One of the things that I found in my application process is the reason that they picked me is because I think differently and I bring fresh eyes to my project. And also, some of my lived experiences have really benefited my study. For example, starting it at 42 and having more life experience is actually a good thing because I have more wisdom and I have more things that I can reflect on and bring to the table. For example, I've worked in many bars, which means I have very good interpersonal skills and good communication skills. And my PhD is a collaborative PhD where I'm out meeting people in the community all of the time. Also, I've been an artist for 20 years. And for the first time in my life, being an artist is seen as a positive thing. I never thought that would happen. But I was chosen for this mode of study because I was an artist and I was an academic. It's the first time in my life that I've been able to use my creativity and my intellect, and I've always been searching for that my whole life. So I feel very fulfilled being able to take these elements and put them together within my PhD. I would also say that having volunteered with people with refugee experiences and always being a humanitarian at heart, this PhD is able to fulfill that aspect of my life as well. But having volunteered with people in those groups, I would say that lived experience has really benefited my mode of seeing. In my master's, I did a study, an autoethnography of my embodied whiteness in refugee spaces in Copenhagen. And I took that experience with me, and that's benefiting my research now in Bristol with the Arnold Feeney, with people with refugee experiences in the Bristol context. So, if you love to learn and you're an innovative thinker, you should apply for a PhD with the SWWDTP today.